I feel an air of disbelief that we're actually going to vote on this private members, because who could vote against principles of human rights and equality? And who could vote against that aspect that calls for a guiding vision for Ireland that would see policy coherence and a commitment to the common good? And I cannot understand the objection to the part of the motion that calls for a narrowing of the gap between the basic social welfare rates and the income required as measured by the Vincentian Partnership for Social Justice for a minimally adequate standard of living, and for that gap to be narrowed gradually. And especially, you're going to be voting against a private member's business that does acknowledge the positives in the economic recovery. You're also voting against human rights, and human rights which, as I outlined last night, are part of our country's obligations to international human rights treaties. Joseph Stiglitz is often quoted, and I'm just struck by one short quote, that every downturn comes to an end, and we hope that it is. But it has to be acknowledged what people have suffered because of during that downturn. Some people, from the forced 100% repayment to reckless banks and bondholders who gambled and lost but really didn't lose at all, and the cost to the Irish people that was foisted on them without our agreement. And we know the cost to families and communities, 250,000 who emigrated. We know the cost that is a growth in poverty, a growth in unemployment, a growth in homelessness. So it's all the more vital that we do get it right if we are in recovery, and that we don't get complacent. You know, that happened before, it'll never happen again, it can happen again. So that's why it's absolutely vital that we put human rights and the common good at the heart of what we do. I want to acknowledge the work and the assistance of Social Justice Ireland, FLAC, the Vincent de Paul and Christian Aid, and I used some of their work in my speech last night and tonight for their insights and their dedication. I also want to thank everybody who contributed both last night and tonight, and especially my colleagues in the technical group, because I think collectively we have been a voice for justice and equality, and our concern for those who get lost in the GDPs and the percentages and the statistics. We can acknowledge the positives, and every positive has to be welcomed, but the question is who is benefiting most from those positives. And I think we'd all respect the work of the Society of Vincent de Paul, and I was just struck by something that they wrote in their magazine recently, and they were saying that, you know, governments and media, etc., want to give the impression that the country has entered recovery and the era of austerity is over. But what they're finding in their day-to-day work with people is severe deprivation, lack of money, shortage of the necessities of life, and worries about maintaining a roof over our heads. They're the people most directly involved with the people who are suffering in this country. I had hoped for more on the philosophy, so I'm going to leave with another quote from Nelson Mandela. Action without vision is only passing time. Vision without action is merely daydreaming. But when vision with action, it can change the world. Now we have to get our vision right, and then we get our action right, and I think we can create a better company, because every action has to be accompanied by the vision. So if our vision is equality and the common good, well then our actions have to match that also. Thank you.
Thank you.